All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to tackle one of Fidelity's most powerful, and let's be honest, sometimes one of its most confusing tools for options traders. We're talking about the trailing stop. This is your step-by-step guide to making sure you actually protect those profits you work so hard for.
Oh man, we have all been there, right? You're looking at a winning trade, feeling on top of the world, you glance away for a second, come back, and poof, it's all gone. It is just the worst feeling. Well, what if there was a way to automatically protect your gains? To have a tool that locks them in as the trade keeps going your way? That is exactly what we're talking about today.
And honestly, this is the perfect way to think about it. Don't think of it as some boring, technical order type. No way. Think of it as a personal bodyguard for your trade. It's on duty, always watching, and ready to jump in the second things start to look a little shaky.
So the bodyguard idea is great, and it really works. But let's get down to the brass tacks. What is this thing really? Well, it's an automated order, a set-it-and-forget-it kind of deal that's built specifically to either lock in your profit or cut a loss. The beautiful part is it follows your winning trade up, protecting you, but it never, ever limits how high that trade can go.
So here's the magic behind it, and it's actually really simple. The trigger price, your safety net, only moves in one direction, up. As your option price climbs and hits a new peak, your stop scoots up right behind it. But, and this is the key part, if the option price takes a little dip, your stop doesn't budge. It holds the line, creating that floor and protecting the highest point your profit just reached.
Okay, but here's where we have to get platform specific. We are talking about Fidelity, and they have their own set of rules. And trust me, you have to know these before you even think about placing an order. Getting this part wrong, well, it can be a really expensive mistake.
All right, so there are 4 big ones you just need to commit to memory. Number 1, and this is the biggie, it's a dollar trail only. We'll come back to that in a sec. 2, it can be triggered by the bid, the ask, or the last price, which is super important when things are moving fast. 3, it only works during market hours, so 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. And finally, just a bit of common sense here, any automated order is going to have some risk, especially when the market's going nuts.
Okay, let's really hammer this home because this is where so many people get tripped up. If you've ever set a trailing stop for a stock on Fidelity, you know you get a choice between a percentage or a dollar amount. Well, for options, that choice is gone. It is a dollar amount only. You have to use a fixed dollar value. Seriously, if you remember one thing about the rules, make it this one.
All right, time for the main event. Let's pull up the app and walk through this step by step. I'm going to show you the exact 7 steps to get this thing set up. And you'll see it's actually way easier than it sounds once you see it.
So here it is, the whole process from start to finish. You just navigate to your position, you hit trade, and then here's the most important part. You change the order type. From there, you just punch in your dollar trail amount, how many contracts, and how long you want the order to last. Click review, 1 swipe, and boom. Your bodyguard is officially on the job.
Whoa, hold on. Let's zoom in on step 3 for a second, because this is a huge deal. You have 2 choices here, trailing stop and trailing stop limit. Think of a regular trailing stop as hitting the panic button. When it's triggered, it sells at any price it can get, which might be way lower than you'd like. The trailing stop limit, on the other hand, is smarter. It says, okay, it's time to sell, but I am not taking a penny less than this price. It gives you control, and we'll see in a bit why that control is absolutely essential.
Let's make this super clear with a quick example. Imagine you set your trail at 20 cents. Your option is trading at $1.20, so your sell trigger is at an even buck. Simple enough? Now, the option climbs to $1.50. See? Your stop automatically follows it up to $1.30. But here's the cool part. The price then dips to $1.40. Your stop? It doesn't move. It stays locked in at $1.30, protecting that peak you just hit. Okay, a quick little pro tip here for step 6, the duration. You can choose a day order, which means it expires at the end of the day. But for options, I almost always lean towards good till canceled, or GTC. Why? Because these trades can take a while to develop, right? GTC just means your bodyguard stays on the clock day after day until the job is done. Okay, so you've got the mechanics down. You know how to place the order, but now comes the really important part, how to place it smart. This is where we separate just clicking buttons from actually making an effective trade and avoiding those common traps.
Because believe it or not, setting this order the wrong way can do more harm than good. That bodyguard you just hired? He could end up throwing you out of a perfectly good party. So, what are these hidden pitfalls we need to avoid?
So you might be thinking, I'll set a really tight trail, maybe 10 cents.
It sounds smart, right? Super safe. You're thinking, the second this thing dips even a tiny bit, I'm out with my profit. On the surface, it makes perfect sense.
But here's the reality. That 10 cents can disappear in the blink of an eye. Options are fast. They're volatile. A tiny little 10-cent dip isn't a trend reversal. It's just noise. Setting your trail that tight is a classic rookie mistake. You're basically telling your bodyguard to end the mission just because someone sneezed nearby. You will get kicked out of a great trade for no reason at all.
The key takeaway here is you have to give your trade room to breathe. So what's a good rule of thumb? Well, for options that are under, say, $2, you're probably looking at a trail somewhere in the 15 to 40 cent range. That's usually wide enough to ride out the normal bumps and jitters, but still tight enough to save you if things really go south.
And that brings us to pro tip number 2, which is maybe even more important. Before you set any trail, you have to look at the bid-ask spread. Come on, think about it. If the spread is 15 cents and you set a 10-cent trail, you're literally setting yourself up for an instant loss. The trade is doomed from the start. Your trail must be wider than the spread, period. All right, let's bring it all home with the single smartest choice you can make when setting these up. Remember those 2 options from earlier? Well, one of them is the clear winner for most situations, and it's the one the pros tend to use.
Yeah, it's the trailing stop limit. There is a reason for this. When it gets triggered, it doesn't just smash a panic button and sell for anything. It turns into a limit order. That means you get to say, I am not selling for any penny less than my price. You get control. You avoid something called slippage in fast markets. It just gives you a way better, more predictable fill.
So there you have it, the full playbook. You know what it is, you know the Fidelity-specific rules, you've got the 7 steps to set it up, and you know the pro tips to avoid the common traps. Your bodyguard is trained, briefed, and ready to go. The only question left is, are you going to put him to work on your next trade?